So cool to see everyone. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start my intro. Hello and welcome to the finale of the 2020 Thunderbird Reading Series. My name's Ian Geronimo. I'm a 2019 MFA graduate and your host for the evening. We have a really awesome program tonight. We're gonna feature 6 recently graduated, or soon to graduate readers, one of whom is a Thunderbird board member, Jay, who's going to be sharing some of his music with us tonight. And then we have a special guest, a poet activist from Seattle, Sasha LaPointe. Did I get the pronunciation? Cool. Before we get into the readings, I want to acknowledge the group behind this reading series. I've been invited to host, but really there was a lot of emotional labor that went into making this series happen. I know that. They call themselves the board, so if you hear me refer to them, it is Chandra Safran, Ellie Kralji Gardner, Shayna Nez, Lauren Arthur, Vivian Carroll, Victoria Gonzalez, and Jay Mercado. Thank you guys for putting this together. And it's really incredible to me that like this weekly reading series has been organized and promoted and just maintained while we're going through this pandemic, all of us together. But not like all of us, you guys are in many cases finishing your thesis for your MFA remotely while doing this, which is just a feat. And I commend you guys on pulling it together. I want to say a special thanks to Shayna for reaching out to me initially for my reading and then to host tonight, and also Chandra, who helped me prepare for tonight. Chandra is up in Nome, Alaska, and in addition to doing all the things that I mentioned above, or just a moment ago, she also is basically advocating to stop a gold mine in her area. And after knowing her for a little while, I don't think that gold mine has a chance. I also want to thank Santee Frazier, director of the IAIA MFA program, who I've called twice in the last 2 days and just went straight to voicemail. So I think he's a pretty busy man. I know he's been designing the posters for this reading series and collaborating a little bit with some of the alumni to make this happen. So thank you, Santee. With that, I'll just quickly read a statement from the board and we'll get started. This is a graduate-run initiative conceived and run entirely by 2020 graduates from the Institute of American Indian Arts, Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. Your attendance is especially of value to this cohort, whose opportunity to share their work with an audience would normally have been at graduation in Santa Fe. The Thunderbird Series Volunteer Board would like to express our thanks to our fellow alumni who volunteer their time and talent to host and read for the events. All of our readers tonight have learned from the invaluable space at the low-res MFAs. We would like to extend a huge thank you to this evening's special guest, Sasha LaPointe, and to you, the audience. Our purpose is to lift up Indigenous voices and the voices of the marginalized global majority, to express ourselves in the hopes of enriching the spaces around us, to enrich our communities, both materially and spiritually. And you viewers make this possible by creating and holding this space with us. A reminder to our audience that this event will be recorded for later viewing. Another special thanks to Chandra for tech hosting this thing. She's Wizard of Oz tonight. And a couple of tech reminders. Please mute yourself at any time that you're not reading or speaking so that we don't pick up any background noise. And go ahead and turn off your videos when you're not reading or speaking as well, because it creates lag. If you have any questions during the readings, please put them in the chat box for Chandra. Please feel free to use the chat box to give readers accolades or mention it if they say something that resonates with you, but save the burning set questions for the Q&A session at the end. Finally, thank you to the leadership of the Institute of American Indian Arts, MFA Creative Writing, for offering their blessings and wisdom in support of this entirely graduate-run pop-up series. Thank you guys all, and thank you for inviting me to host once again. Our first reader for tonight is Carey Powers. Carey graduated from the IAIA MFA program in creative writing with the wonderful class of 2019. Since then, she has been a youth outreach fellow for the MFA and continuing education department suicide prevention initiative, teaching poetry workshops for Native youth in the Santa Fe area. With fellow IAIA grad Jennifer Love, she taught English 101 last spring and will be continuing as a learning specialist and TA in the fall. She's currently at work on a collection of poems connecting phonetics to the phases of the moon. Welcome, Carey Powers. Hey, Carey.
Hey, Ian. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I just want to say a big appreciation for this community and congratulations to all the grads this year. In a very difficult year, you've done amazing work, and it's humbling to be around your words. So I'm just going to read a poem I'm working on right now in celebration with you and in prayers for your uplifting. So I'm just going to jump right into it. The lens pierced lives on, red winter, if you go up to the lake. Salting the surface ink, your hand and the wind. Pearled, you spill opals from your hands until you have created a mountain kneeling in the water. Because now I play, I'm called paintings. Because now paintings hang in the dark hull, the mountain glistens, kneeling in spilled spritzer. Because now I stretch, I'm echoing. Because now I'm wheat, I'm yearly. Because now in San Diego, two mice chew the edge of a Dunkin' Donuts cup. The shadow moves swiftly. Because now I'm shaped, I'm cast, if you go up to the lake. The glass bowl on the table holds the quietest liquid. 1,000 times the sun shaved the dark away in tangents and in slivers. More times the moon was sitting in the tree. The glimmers on the surface the bowl has always prepared for. The bowl when it was cast with prongs, the graphite sweat beading the maker's brow, loosened sunlight onto the rare and steamy lake. Because now I'm tar, I wince. Because now I felt beatings, I don't run as fast. When I go with pails and a smile as a boy's, when he dips the water into the cool shadowed steel. As conditions, as sonic conditions, I skim chicken fat from water. The woman in red leans over a faucet out of which the air whispers. As conditions, as sonic conditions. On the shore I drag stones as feet, as liberated feet. Of the shapes we wrought, you are masked in the air like a room filled with light or a bowl. On the shore I drag stones as bodies, impalpable bodies. When I go with pails and a smile as a train, I don't run as fast because now I'm tar. I go at the speed of a cowbell through the grasses. When you are kneeling in the water and the steam fogs the volume, I don't run as fast as feet, as liberated feet. As people, as systemic people, as interstices, as tertiary interstices, When I'm called paintings, I'm a facet. The boy in Dunkin' Donuts is ordering the SUV tires that have licked wetlands. I held a bowl once in a museum and it shattered to the floor. Inside the bowl as rafts, as choreographed rafts, I place a sailboat in their hands on a sunset. You have an opportunity now to make fragments. The lemon sours a sheet of glass, housing an airstrip in a flood of tear gas when I washed the butcher board. As stories, as material stories, and scales of alternating windows of boudoirs, as conditions of doorways, as conditions of miles of doorways, as miles of lenses, songs of dismissal, wring out the dish rag, make it again. Make it with steam and your dark footsteps, when you walked up the mountain, carrying a fish like a child. In the quietest song, kneeling in the water, 2 mice in the glass bowl, 2 mice in the lake, one with fiery eyes, 2 mice on a raft in the lake, the electrified water. In the quietest song, I am sleeping. You, the red tassel beating against my breastbone, the wind wraps the curtains in. The pastured, fly-papered I clip to snowline, glimmers in the heated dusk. Wooden spoons on pots come up through the winter in my sleep. Scales of alternating windows sleep in the ruins at the bottom of a furnace. The lake, pocked to parched, or fissured, or flaking miles and miles of sheep, or beaded, or rolling, stand at the entrance to the eye in its curve, in the structured water of its curve, because now my back is turned when the sun rises or rolls. The bread in the oven turns. I was bringing out a winter or water. I was bringing out a patch. I was combing wigs, the sea tassels in the mornings white as silver. The curve continues. The faint oar of sunlight, the beating of fins in the water, the loosened shrapnel. A man in the dusk diving into the water, an arm of silk, a wheat field in moonlight. An arm of silk, a wheat field in moonlight. I stir. The mountains are already snowing, and the glass bowl I roll down the hill whenever it's free to go. In the dark, I hear stories. The bowl turns and the mountains framed by glass and glassy in the wet sunlight grow to proportions as wells, as humming wells, lifted by either arm. You will not be shot by a rope hassling the cow, nor be rimmed with fins you cannot see, nor be a ghost on the edges of a blade, butchering the cow in the morning's steam. Of charred flour, the colder the flour, the darker the runnel of winter and laughter. Thank you so much.
Damn, Carey. Well done. Carey's the first person that I met when I came to my initial residency, and her energy, that shyness and that wavering, and then to hear you read your poetry through it has just always spoken to me. It brings me to a place. So thank you for sharing. Also in our class of 2019 was our next reader, Doug Boots, who is also a poet. Doug is a BFA and MFA graduate of the creative writing program of the Institute of American Indian Arts, where he is now an adjunct professor of English and creative writing. These poems are from the poetry manuscript Ringing Bones, which explores relationships between historical and contemporary trauma inflicted by humans, and on the land. Drawing from various lexicons, he allows voices from within to sing the dark images of our existence and rejoice in the beams of light they encounter. Doug, welcome.
Thank you, Ian. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for your part in this tonight. Whether you were an organizer or just in the audience, really happy to be a part of this. And Carey, I'm blown away. I haven't heard any of that, so that's really beautiful and really tough to follow up. But I'm going to do the best I can. So this is a sequence of poems that I selected from Ringing Bone. I kind of selected these based on sound, creating a sound sequence. So I'll go ahead and begin. Tupelo, black gum, sweet gum, dogwood, chicken scratch, gold mine, wildcat scream, sassafras, pawpaw, snake root, dogbane. Danny Nichols died a little young last night. Tawny grisset, primrose, loblolly pine, kinfolk grown up in Suicide Holler, monkey flower, skullcap, arrowleaf, duckweed, mountain laurel, ginseng, pokeweed, black knot, running rapid trailer tears down the Natahala, noon suns, rattlesnake, grape fern, been a wet spring, fish snap, azurite streams, chartreuse silence, devil's on his throne, Danny. Misnomer, living, makeshift, abandoned, father, protector, spirit, inmate, been a lot of things from here to Apalachicola, another name corrupted, misplaced, displaced, damned to eternal erasure, never know what you'll find up my skirt. Annotated chromosomes, chinkapin, hogsucker, badger and coyote hunt together tonight.
Doug, we lost sound for a minute in that one. Do you want to, you can reread the last couple of lines or continue?
Okay, yeah, I'll pick it up just with the last 6 lines. I had a feeling I saw the little signal come on. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Yeah.
So curl on down into pot shards and sand, blue grama and rhyolite. Crawl under the buffalo, badger and coyote hunt together tonight. So this poem, I want to apologize ahead of time to the spirit of Amiri Baraka. You'll see what that's about with the last line. Render my torso red on half, blue I sleep east on, war color hostage, between top sheet and fitted, between Atlantic and Great River. That's how I vanish. That's how I wear extinction, Who am I to translate cornstalk resp? To ask if man went to the moon, did he fly through heaven? Ask stillborn questions. Who ate who? What was digested? What passed through opalized clouds? Who am I to dig up the dead, to harvest scalps, counting coup on 400 years of exile? As if chinkapin seeds husk again, where short grass prairie meets the Rio Grande. Who am I, hollow-eyed hoot owl, happy as a clam? Who am I? Who am you? Hoo 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 hoo. Am I a remote viewer's tattooed jewelry? Part horse, part brain, damaged, all sexed up. Whip snake tongue, lashing wind. Am I the groove machine for your next party call? Gentle nudge of your current, toes sucking holes in the mud. Am I dreaming? Am I trouble? Am I there yet? Am I just the right amount of tension in the soft behind your knee, wrung around my neck? And this is the final poem of the collection, and my final poem for tonight. Thank you all again for listening and being a part of tonight's event. Diaphanous ports, two-tailed swallowtails, skirting willows bowed south, chrysalis risen from soil where we stand. The way cobalt embers phosphoresce firefly lakes, blue like spiders in my eyes, shadows lengthened and fattened, roiled like blistering hides. Thank you. Have a good night.
Beautifully done, Doug. Man, I've heard a lot of Doug's poetry because we were in the program together, and that like natural imagery combined with like sudden reminders of death. It always makes me smile, your poetry, Doug, but then I feel bad for smiling when you have the brutal imagery. So I was doing a lot of smiling and getting serious again during that reading. Thank you for sharing. We're gonna try something a little new, I think. As I said, Jay Mercado is going to be providing some musical elements, and the first of which we're going to watch now, and there'll be another one a little bit later in the latter part of the reading. So we can go to, oh, excuse me, actually, real quick, Jay sent me a bio via Instagram. Let me read that real quick before we begin. Sorry. Okay. Jay Mercado, also known as Ewa, is an indigenous singer-songwriter and recording artist currently residing in Flagstaff, Arizona. His first album of recorded music, entitled Boy, was an exploration of various intersections between hip-hop and poetry. Currently, he is working on a second album of recorded music entitled Dysphoria. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Ian. On behalf of Jay, we are really excited for his performance. Give me just a moment while I am screen sharing. He was very wise, I think, to record instead of attempt to do something live. So snaps and props to Jay. And let me make sure this works. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Ian? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go ahead and press play. Please enjoy.
light calling me home. All my life, been waiting for this sign. Feel it in my bones. I'm not gonna wait. No, I won't be sleeping. 'Cause this is what I've been dreaming of. Not time telling me not mine. Way out of here. Can't deny the stirring in my soul. Sometimes you ask to be strong, surprised I've lasted this long. But I made it on my own. I'm not gonna wait. No, I won't be sleeping. 'Cause this is what I've been dreaming of. Tonight's your night. You learn and you live to fight another day. Another day. I'm sick of waking up lonely. If nobody knows me, there's no reason I should stay. This is my dreams made of. This is what dreams are made of. This is the only way.
Very cool. Can you guys hear me? Am I back? Nice.
You are back.
Right on. Well, Jay, we all know, all of us who went to school with him know that he has a beautiful voice and he likes to show off. He used to kill it at Tiny's karaoke. So thank you, Jay, for recording that for us, if you're here. That brings us to our next reader, Debbie Haddow. Debbie is a Thai lesbian author and poet in her second year of IAIA's MFA program, an enthusiastic nerd by nature. In 2019, she graduated from IAIA with her BFA in creative writing. She writes in many genres, but her favorite is fantasy. Her inspiration drawn from the magical and mythological. Writing is what inspires her to keep living, to capture the beauty in every situation, and to speak for the struggles with mental illness that she and many others face. She has been published in IAIA's 2018 and 2019 anthologies, Crystalism and Celestial Refractions, as well as the Santa Fe Literary Review, Haiku Journal, and the Tribal College Journal student website, as an honorable mention in its 2020 student writing competition. Welcome, Debbie. I think you're still muted, Debbie. I can't hear you. And my thing's.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah,
and hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'll be reading behind a Baby Yoda screenshot since just a second. Okay, so the first poem I'll be reading is called Oracle of the Damned. It's based on a character I created. Oracle of the Damned. I am the Oracle of the Damned, resplendent in post-traumatic purple velvet, tattoos embedded in violet ink across my wrist, musing to you that your fate is to lose once again, feeling your anguish, hearing your cries, offering you my jaded advice in the hopes that you'll fight against what ails you. It's the life of the lonely, my days of speaking to the lost souls who wake in this Tartarus disguised as earth. But someone has to break the news, even if it shatters the calm. Someone has to give fair warning if the gods seek to withhold and rally the wronged against the multitude of injustices. I spend my days in the company of ghosts, their forms tangible as smoke, breathing in the bitter haze, fueling their resentment, strengthening my own. When the world spins a hair too quickly on its frantic carousel of thrill seekers and wayward wanderers, I'm there in the wings to gather those who have been displaced, and we form our own army against the gods. Pen at the ready, I am their scribe, my chronicle the story of all the wrong ever to be wrought upon the damned. Buildings Roman. I am neither here nor anywhere, seeking a place I belong as I glissade across Saturn's halo rings and sift through silver-luminescent strands in every moonbeam. My place undefined in a world submerged under vermilion flame. I search vale and oasis, desert and hamlet for traces of what it means to be alive. Imbue the contents of my heart into every breath, every word, every movement, in hopes that some part of me will remain when the storms have abated. Everywhere I've been, fragments of lives I left behind remain irrevocable, haunting me when the moon looms pensive over quiet midnights, my binding tie to what was. My story's always reaching an end, and each time I grasp for something to cling to, always desperately hoping that at last I'll be safe as the world falls to pieces again. Broken glass. Sailing, smashing into a storm of shards. Wine glass flies from my hand. A glistening gale of jagged fragments born of the impact. Transparent galaxy blazing in lamplight. I hear the smash, see the glass explode. A crystal supernova, fracturing, raising one piece into many. The room, once so still, raptures with the maelstrom, caught for a moment in the adrenaline rush of destructive motion before again halted silent. Fragments fall irreparable, one beautiful thing that can never again be made whole. I stand in the shining wreckage, trembling, sobbing, seeing myself in the shards, regretting nothing, yet everything. A single action redefines the boundaries of a world, Jericho walls obliterated, a glass goblet ruined for a roar within to be heard. There are no words, only broken glass among thousands shattered into clear cacophony, fragments that draw blood in any attempt to reassemble. Here in the aftermath, I can do nothing at all, just stand stranded in the midst of a fractured sea. And this last poem is based off of my love of Alice in Wonderland and inspired by that, the imagery in that. All mad here. The violet cat speaks to me in a cheerful lilt, painting smashed clocks with his tail's curved plume. All's well and fine not being alive, is it not, he croons, laughing in an ecstatic haze atop a 10-foot-tall looking glass reflecting nothing at all. I can't say I disagree, I muse, unfurling my fuchsia butterfly wings, rising to stand. My feet pointed in black ballet slippers, I leaped straight through the unseeing mirror, fall miles down a spiral staircase to the gothic underworld, only dimly lit by a curved abalone crescent. hang from the slender, lustrous moon before I let go, drifting through powder blue smoke scented like birthday cupcakes, inhaling the essence of a dream, gift-wrapped primly within 6 other dreams. It's only when I open my eyes that I find the alabaster asylum peering back. The broken clock is stuck at midnight from the time I threw it towards the ceiling, hoping to turn the room upside down. Take your pills, snaps the orderlies, shoving a palm full of tiny white discs, small as mermaid scales, towards my startled face. I wish they were periwinkle and butterscotch sweet, but they're the flavor of teardrops and wasted hours. Not unless you take them first, I laugh. I haven't the time to stay sane in a porcelain madhouse. And again I turn my eyes to the visionless looking glass, now standing beneath the clock I condemned to midnight. Throw myself straight through, holding to rainbow ribbons, trailing from orchid balloons. Float giddy into a shimmering maze of mirrors that opens up 1,000 more doors. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. It was all the more powerful you reading from that dark kind of half internet haze. I need to recap for anyone who may be joining us. If you are just joining us, this is the finale of the Thunderbird Reading Series, a pop-up series conceived and run entirely by 2020 graduates of the Institute of American Indian Arts, MFA. We are approaching the midpoint of the evening, and this is a special reading, being that it is the finale. We're so excited to be joined by 2019 and 2020 alumni, as well as current second-year students, and of course, our special guest, Sasha LaPointe, also an IA alum. A friendly reminder to please mute yourselves when you are not speaking, and if you have any questions, please use the chat box and address your questions to our tech host, Chandra, who's fielding questions for me to ask our readers in the Q&A session, which comes up at the end. Thank you so much. And now for our next reader, who is a dear friend of mine. I'm so happy she's here tonight, and just a lovely individual, Lisa Tiger. Lisa submitted her bio in the first person, so I'm going to read that real quick. It starts with a quote. Cows run away from the storm while the buffalo charges toward it and gets through it quicker. When I am confronted with a tough challenge, I do not prolong the torment. I become the buffalo. Wilma Mankiller. In July 1992, when I first learned I had tested positive for the virus that leads to AIDS, it was Chief Wilma Mankiller who called to encourage me. Wilma shared with me she had been diagnosed with many conditions the doctors believed would be fatal. She said in each of these cases, medicine prevailed and her life was prolonged. The same will be true of AIDS. Wilma offered me a place in her family and a job with her tribe. In the 90s, I traveled through Indian country, telling my story. Now I am showing my life through fact-based fiction. While pursuing my MFA degree at the Institute of American Indian Arts, I gained the necessary skills to write a fictionalized version of myself. My curiosity and love of life, I anticipate, is apparent in my writing through my humor, my appreciation, and my determination not to give up no matter what creator has me shoulder. I'm an enrolled tribal member of the Muskogee Nation, and I am of Creek, Seminole, Cherokee, and Irish ancestry. I am a 55-year-old mother, stepmom of 10, and grandmother of 5. Please, everyone, help me welcome Lisa Luella Tiger. Lisa?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I'm going to apologize first of all because I usually try to make people laugh, but what I'm reading tonight is not so funny. So
Make it sad.
Okay, this one's called That's It. I knew I was finally finished with Dickie the first day of the murder trial. I was dressed in my best clothes, ready to leave. I can't believe he's still in bed, I think, as I stopped by my bedroom I've occupied since the 2nd grade. I stopped sleeping in the same bed as Dickie a few weeks ago. Are you ready? Are you going or not? I am, Dickie moans but he doesn't move anything but his lips. Are you going to get out of bed and get ready? I say through clenched teeth. I explained to him in detail what the district attorney said about the importance of showing up for the jury during a murder trial. Yes, I'll get up. Well, it's about to start, I say as I tap my left ring finger on the door frame I am holding. My right hand grips the chin-up bar above my head. I don't have time to wait on you. I'll drive my truck, he whimpers as he rolls over and puts a pillow over his head. I take a deep breath and hold it. Don't let him piss you off today. Not today. The jury needs to see the pain the killer has caused, not the anger. I exhale. I'll drive my truck, I grimace as I mimic mouthing the words as I look upon the heap lying underneath my quilt in my bed, my antique canopy bed. I love that bed. I've had it as long as I've had this room. I never did get my flowy curtains, I think sadly. What? Dickie asked. Did I say that out loud? What? I snapped back. Did you say something? I said you're going to be late. I pick up my black leather heels and head down the stairs. You don't have to wait on me, Dickie says. I'll drive my truck. I know you already said that. Every time he mentions that damn truck, I think about the circumstances of him getting it. He wouldn't even have that new truck if it weren't for Uncle. What the hell's wrong with people? I mumble as I walk down the old carpeted staircase. What do you mean? Dickie asks. Nothing. Just hurry up and get to the courthouse. I want you to be there before the jury comes in. Before I shut the front door, I hear a bang, a groan, and a fucking bar. I smile. I have a chin-up bar in my bedroom. One of my first gymnastics coaches insisted we get them and install them in our bedroom doors or frequented doors such as the kitchen or the bathroom. We were instructed to do 2 chin-ups going in and 2 on the way out. The bar stands about 6 feet, so anyone taller will hit it if they forget to duck. Dickie stands at 6'2". You'd be surprised at how many times he's forgotten to bend down or tilt his head. I suggested he get in the habit of doing the chin-ups. I still do them. Before moving back to the big house, that's what we call our family home, Dickie and I had been renting his father's house on East Okmulgee Street. The day my brother was shot and killed, Dickie's dad told him we had to leave because he was renting the house to someone else. I felt sorry for Dickie that day. I overheard his conversation with his dad. Dickie was saying, but we've never been late. We can pay more. Dad, she just lost her brother. He was killed early this morning. Murdered. After he hung up the phone, I walked up beside him. He was sitting on the edge of the couch, trying not to cry. I put my hands on his shoulders and rested my head on his shoulder, I'm usually not very sweet. I felt bad for him in the moment. My being nice to him must have unleashed his ability to hold back his tears. He turned and pulled me toward him. I held him until he had no more tears. I don't know why I can't cry around other people. My tears only show themselves when I'm completely alone. I have a reputation for being heartless because no one has ever seen me cry. The first time I cried so hard that I heaved out of control was about 27 hours after my brother had been shot point blank between his beautiful dark brown, almost black eyes. I had been curious all that day of how it would feel to read in the paper that my brother had been killed. I spent the entire previous pre-dawn hours with his lifeless body as it lay on a metal table in the hospital emergency room. As if I needed more proof he was actually dead, like I wouldn't believe it until I read it. There I was before dawn on May 10th, 1990, crouched behind the same couch I had comforted Dickie. I was waiting for the paper to hit the front door. Will I believe it when I read it? Bam! I heard the paper hit the screen door. I crawled low like a soldier crawls under those ropes, flat and close to the ground. Reaching up from my crawl, I grabbed the paper and pulled it in with me. Now on my knees and still low to the ground as I could get, I sat back on the bottoms of my feet. I took the rubber band off and I spread the paper out on the floor in front of me. On the front page of the Muskogee Daily Phoenix, in bold letters, the headline read, "Gunshot wound kills Chris Tiger." With my tears came agony. Agony started deep beyond my gut, from an ancient place of pain, traveling through my body, stopping it seemed to pick up my heart. Agony dragged the beating, bleeding vessel into my throat where it got stuck. I began to choke on my heart. It's too big to pass through, though it felt like it tried its best to get out. I choked on my heart, gagging as it continued to throb, keeping the painful rhythm of my pulse. I'm not sure how long agony commanded I lie there writhing in pain, clutching the death announcement to my chest. I don't know how Dickie slept through my weeps and wails. I do know if he had come and tried to comfort me, I would have sent him away. He knows not this pain I speak of, a pain not fathomable unless experienced. Something else died there with my brother that day, my empathy. That's it.
Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that with us. It was indeed difficult material, but I can't wait to read your book when you finish it. It's been, I also write fictionalized versions of my real life, so it's doubly interesting getting all these insights into your history. And thank you so much.
Ian.
So we are going to do another musical performance by Jay, and then we'll go into our final two readers of the night before doing a Q&A. So readers, please stick around. We're gonna be talking to each of you here at the end. Hopefully you can field some questions from our viewers. And Chandra, do we have a second video from Jay?
We do. Give me just a moment to pull it up. Thanks for your patience, folks.
I had a dream. I got everything I wanted. Not what you think. And if I'm being honest, might have been a nightmare. Anyone might care. Thought I could fly. So I stepped off the golden. Nobody cried. Nobody even noticed. Saw them standing right there. Kinda thought they might care. I had a dream. I got everything I wanted. But when I wake up, I see you with me. And you say, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. Don't wanna lie, but you can learn to. If I could change the way that you see yourself, and wonder why they don't deserve you. I tried to scream, but my head was underwater. They call me weak, like I'm not just somebody's daughter. Could have been a nightmare, but it felt like they were right there. And it feels like yesterday was a year ago. I don't wanna let anybody know, 'cause everybody wants something from me now, and I don't wanna let them down. I had a dream, I got everything I wanted, but when I wake up I see you with me, and you say, as long as I'm here, no one can hurt you. Don't wanna lie, but you can learn to. If I could change the way that you see yourself, wouldn't wonder why you're here. They don't deserve you. If I knew it all, then would I do it again? Would I do it again? If they knew what they said would go straight to my head, what they say instead? If I knew it all, then would I do it again? Would I do it again? If they knew what they said would go straight to my head, would they stay instead?
Wow, he is dope with it, isn't he? Damn. What? So is this? These were both original songs. Chandra, can you just tell me real quick?
So the first one I think was an original of Jay's, but the second was a Billie Eilish cover.
Oh, okay. Super cool.
I know.
That's
I'm
cool.
so happy that he could be in the space tonight, even though he couldn't be here in person. He is so amazing, and I just know that we're going to see so many more great things from him. I love
Yeah.
him.
Chandra and I talked before I started hosting about like introducing a musical element, and I really felt it was working nicely that time. It was just, yeah, lovely. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our final two readers for the night. Our penultimate reader is Joshua Max. He is a Native American writer from Sisseton, South Dakota, and he's a member of the Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate. You can correct me, Josh, if I mispronounce that. He graduated with an MFA in creative writing fiction from the Institute of American Indian Arts in May 2020, and he is grateful to have been awarded the 2020 Tin House Scholarship for the Tin House Summer Workshop, which he almost left out of his bio. I don't know how, but he's currently working on his debut novel. Joshua Max, welcome, man.
Hey, yeah, well, it's Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate. That's close.
Thank you.
But hello, everybody. I just want to say thank you guys. Everyone who put this together. I think it's really cool. I'm glad to be invited. It's been really fun to sit here with all you guys, all the IAIA alumni. What I'm going to read like a quick couple things from my novel. This first part is like it comes a couple days later after the main character buries his grandpa and he's at home and whatever. And then the second one will just be the prelude to part 4. So let me begin. This title is "The Start of a Circle is Also the Ending." Rain dances and sings against the window. Sky burns blue with each passing vein. A silhouette of a wooden man sways behind the house, in the lake, in circles. Everything is touched with wind. I open my screenless window and lean out. Each flicker of rain that touches my lip feels like a kiss. Each drop, a welcoming, a world rehearsing. I wish to build an altar to worship this feeling. Mom sits in the kitchen, wrapped by candlelight, cutting strawberries and dipping them in chocolate, listening to records. I read and reread my grandpa's obituary, flip between SportsCenter and Friends. Thunder clashes as she puts on another album and starts flowing to the rhythm of old blues. Her slight frame follows the flame behind her. She singles me near with a fingertip. I shy her away with a smile. I'm watching. My stomach acts as a flower afraid to bloom as she dances around the room, singing an old tune I've never heard. Her shoulders dance with beauty, a laughter, a sunny day. She offers her hands again, and I place my palms in hers, and she moves us around the kitchen and living room. Trailer house love. Her eyes are live, candlelit brown. Her smile jumps down my eyes to my feet, leaving warmth the whole way through. Mother's beauty, brown beauty, honest beauty. She grabs my shoulders and says, son, you're going to be lonely. It's how this world works. Some days are going to be hard. Some days are going to be great. You will remain beautiful to me on either. I think some days I forget to tell you that I love you, but today won't be one of them. I shy away, look down at her feet as her chin nudges the side of my head. She plays with my hair, and I dig my arms around her, squeezing her. Streams roll down her cheek and collect at the tip of my ears. The candlelight marks her cheekbones with a sharpness heavier than thunder. I picture a tree with a swing overlooking a mountain, in a valley where there is no death or discomfort. She breathes in rhythm, exhales repair. I fade away from her into the candlelight. I sit at the kitchen table and stare at the window as she licks chocolate off a white spoon, singing a tune. I think about all the fun she's had, moments made underneath the moon, the sun, a barroom, a pool hall, a smile, a wonder. I wish her nothing but the world, or at least the absence of sadness. I will heal for her. At the top of my grandpa's remembrance page, I write, loneliness is what we can't do for each other. I've seen this passage before in a book by a woman named Claudia. I dig away at a strawberry, ripping into the core. I tear out pieces of bright red and mush them underneath my fingertip, slurping what remains. I lather 6 strawberries in chocolate before eating them. There's a barren taste after the sweetness leaves. I believe this is the ushering of sadness, or something that doesn't know how to melt. Sand left over stone. In between my last bite, a car door slams, and I hear the feet of my sisters, Kylie and Zoe, rumple across the entryway. They bring in something wrapped in a sweater. They seemed frightened. Their voices are flushed. Zoe has tears in her eyes. Mom asks, what's wrong? What is it? They lay the sweater down and open it. Inside is a novel, dented belly filled with ruin. Its eyes are open and it looks full, lifeless, creepy. The sight is unsettling. Its body is something better left outside to feed the belly of a scavenger or the hungry mouth of nature. Its face is of burnt cedar. Kylie says they hid it cruising a back road into town. We didn't want to leave it on the road. We thought it was bad luck or like an omen. Felt like we shouldn't leave it alone. Our mom's face becomes concerned, confused. She gets on her knees and stares at it. She says, we should bury it. I think I have some tobacco and sage. We can do it after it stops raining. I wrap the owl back up and lay it on the porch. I don't hear any more rain. Inside we visit for a couple hours until sundown. I pick a spot near a tree by the lake, and with a cruel breeze at my back, I began digging a small hole with enough space to pay respect to the dead and the sacred. I asked multiple times why we're doing this, and all Mom says is, I don't know, son. It just feels like something we should do. I nod my head, take the olive from the sweater. Inside my palms, the feathers are dry, and the body is a lot lighter than I thought. This might be the first time I've ever held a bird. When I place it on the ground, I close my eyes as I close theirs. Mom sprinkles in her tobacco and sage, and I begin filling in the hole. After the aloe is buried, I lose the ability to breathe. Tongue-tied and dried, I collapse on the patch and begin to fill their ears with the sound of my ugly. It sounds sickening, like I'm forcing it, but I have no control of the way it echoes out my throat and into the bellies of my family. Something near my heart rips open, filling my throat with copper and my muscles with ache. Whatever it is lands on the hollow grave. I dig fingernails into the land as I try to catch my breath. They begin to sting as I dig them further and further into the land, blackening my palms. I clasp at the dampness of the earth. Dirt kisses the webbing of my hands. Our mother lays her knee beside me and grabs one wrist, while my sisters grab the other. A line of woven hands intertwine on the skin of something sad, stricken. I try to pull away from them, but the more I pull, the more they lead me to stay. Their warmth unravels every thread of me, and I shiver from the cold land pressed against my shins. It never stops, does it? I ask in between a whimper and a cough, wiping my palms against the side of my neck. I crane my head to look at how dirty I am. My palms cramp themselves towards a fist. My family looks at me with red in their eyes. I can feel their pain for me in every corner of my body. I stretch my hands over my stomach and lean into their arms as Mom says, "No, it never does. Life is a series of circles of hurt, but we have to keep trying. We have to, for us." The answer is rain drowning a sunflower. And then this last piece is it's the introduction to part 3. It's like the prelude or interlude. And this goes back to just like a time with the narrator with his grandpa. So it goes in front of Grandpa's house is a single conifer. To the right is a single conifer to the right of an elm tree. Soon one will grow into the other. Soon my dad will have me take a handsaw to all the elm tree's branches that will be in the conifer's way. When that soon comes, the elm tree will be half dead from a lightning strike, and I'll fall from the ladder and bust open my nose and lip, only to stop the bleeding and begin again, until I have completed what was asked of me. During the time before me, my grandpa planted the conifer, thinking it would be nice to see them stand strong together. He even planted the line of evergreens behind the side of my dad's, where Dad stores a rusted out 76 Cervelo SS. Everything here grows because of him. One day soon before his passing, we sat and watched 2 hummingbirds flying between the 2 trees. While he was staring, I stared at the wrinkles of his hands as their faces leaked from an early spring heat. In the midst of a lull, behind a cough, out of the folds of blue, Grandpa lit up another Swisher Sweet. As the hummingbird drifted away, he said, "These moments are collected in the same manner our bodies catch a fever." I stared at his lips until his smoke emptied itself in ash, until he got up to go inside and watch the evening news. With sunshine in my eyes and a mosquito on my neck, I kicked my feet inward and thought about all the ways I wanted to say, "I love you." That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Nicely done. I remember your work from IA, and I also have a shy energy, so we didn't get to connect much, Josh, but I'll just read some of the comments, which I tend to agree with. Remember us all when your book gets famous, LMAO. And you heard him here first, folks. That's Joshua Max. It's great. Awesome. Wow. Well, the evening is flying, and we are already down to our final reader for the night, our featured reader, actually. She was kind enough to join us, and after she does her reading, we will do a Q&A with her along with the other readers. Sasha LaPointe, Tacoma, is from the Upper Skagit and Nooksack Indian tribe, native to the Pacific Northwest. She draws inspiration from her coastal heritage and also her life in Seattle. She writes with a focus on trauma and resilience, ranging topics from PTSD, sexual violence, and work her grandmother did for the Coast Salish language revitalization, to loud basement punk shows and what it means to grow up mixed heritage. Sasha LaPointe, welcome.
Thank you. Also, just thank you so much for inviting and including me here tonight. I'm super, super grateful to be here. IAIA is very near and dear to my heart, and this feels super special. And wow, what strong work from the other readers and artists tonight. Yeah, super, super cool event. So thank you. I'm gonna read some pieces from this, if you can see it. It's this little beat up zine I made about a year or so ago. I was in a band and we toured down the West Coast, and in between songs I would perform poems from this little thing and you know, try to sell it for $2 or trade it for snacks on tour. And now I feel really, really stoked that because of the amazing folks at Milkweed, it will actually be a book in the world and not just this beat up collage thing. But yeah, so the collection is called Rose Quartz, and I will just get started. Teach me to say, I love you. In your language, I have forgotten how to speak. Like something caught in my throat, a fishbone broken, splintering me into something quiet. Muted and star-like, lost in a sky, the word for sky is Shikulgwets. Teach me to say, just stay put, stay here. Because I have forgotten how to be inside my own body. Whatever my body has become beneath your tongue, conquered and ugly, malformed and mispronounced. Teach me a word better than survivor, like watching my grandmother pour black coffee in the kitchen and the stacks of legal pads filled up with her words, and I tried to listen. The word for language is Gwdgwated. Teach me to say I love you, because every time I walk into a restaurant to meet a date, I hesitate. I remember the trees along Portland Avenue in their red bows, like gift packages on Christmas morning. This is to honor assault survivors, how my mother tied each one, hugging their bark in ribbon. And I think of this as he pulls the chair out, takes my jacket and pours the wine red into the glass and asks if I am hungry. Red is what I remember when I think of how he will have to take me home and learn to unwrap me. Teach me to say I love you, because what good is a ribbon if it cannot hold us together where we have been broken? Teach me to speak in a language older than words, specifically the words of white men whose tongues touch everything. Quiet yourself and listen. Oh, oh, Shabitsi Chud. Oh, oh, Shabitsi Chud. Like a sigh I would make as a child, comfortable and safe, then the thud of my heart as it beats in my chest, its thrum as it drums inside my ribcage. And this next one is called The Canoe My Grandmother Gave Me. When my grandmother hit the record button on the cassette player, it startled my great aunt. What is it? What does it do? It's going to capture the language, my grandmother said, to keep it. My great aunt thought about this a long while. As a child, she traveled by river, by inland waters, to relatives, to bring them fish, to carry the news. She looked down at the cassette recorder and nodded. Ah, she said, this is just another kind of canoe. The last time we would eat together, we sat at a picture window overlooking the channel. She pushed fried oysters around her plate, Chardonnay pooling on white linen. At 6, I licked frosting bone white from China. My grandmother, embarrassed, reached for the plate. My grandmother slapped her hand away, just let her enjoy it. and we rotated high above the city, the Space Needle spinning clouds into sugar. Now she looks over oysters, out past the docks. Remember when all of this was underwater? She points a greasy fork to the hill beyond the bridge. They kept the dead up there before they came and built a church. I see canoes high above a white chapel in branches of trees no longer there. Speeding along asphalt, along LeConner Whitney Road, the backseat sticky with whiskey, the smell of cow shit, of cut grass, I look out to the snaking body of water contained, curling and flexing to keep up. It was all underwater, she'd say, until they came and built dikes and farmhouses, planted fields just for tulips, stretching lakes of daffodils. With my head against glass, bottle of whiskey in my lap, I squint until the channel breaks free, until the roads are water again. When I woke to find him there, breathing heavy, blonde, 210 pounds of quarterback, of animated Coors Light above me, I learned to sever head from heart, dunked my head beneath water that was no longer there, to drown again and again, to breathe in river silt and mud, count silver scales of fish and all the white pebbles rushing past. We learned to say, I just let it happen. We learned to use words in forgotten languages. I learned to hold my breath beneath the currents, unaware of the boat on the riverbank waiting there. What he should have had. It's not fair, says my brother, talking at me over his pint glass. I belong on a yacht. We had that, you know. We had a yacht. We never had a yacht. You mean one of Mom's boyfriends did? I poke at the red filmed ice of my spent Bloody Mary. I order another as my brother continues his story of what we should have had. All that shit, he says. Those rich guys, those condos in the city, but she moved us to Swinomish. At this, there is a long sigh, and I roll another beer in his fist, and he drinks it angrily. And I am noticing how handsome my brother is. His pitch-colored hair, his jaw, his big smile, how he looks like Superman, like Freddie Prinze Jr. in some romantic comedy made for teenagers in the 90s. Driving back up the coast to our ancestral home, I sleep in woods, send him pictures of whales and a roadside motel we stayed in as kids. But he is busy with his list of all the things we should have had. He is writing them down and marking them off. When we say goodbye, I watch my older brother try not to cry. I tell him to be less angry, but it's too late. My brother has already pulled out his boning knife. Look what happened to you. He repeats it. He carves a fish-shaped hole right into me. Look what happened to you. And this next one is called Half Moon Bay. Half Indian, an old woman laughs. I must take after a white father because I can pass. They say the tribes lived along the coast, all along San Francisco Bay. Driving alongside waves, I feel alone, feel home drift away. The moon hooks the sky and I drive, try to catch it. Between my fingers, a crescent of white, a fight still present. Garbage Indian, the old woman told me. That's what we called them growing up in Monterey. The dump was on their reservation because isn't it always? And I bite my tongue until it bleeds, until I quiet the anger in me, and I'll wait until I leave Half Moon Bay to scream into my fist and say all the things we are not supposed to say to the people who are older than us. Newlywed. I wanted to make you a blueberry pie this afternoon, all sugar and rolling pins, all fingerprints and flour. I've heard that's what wives do. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, began to worry, what would you do with me come 5 o'clock and you open the door, throw down your keys and find me? in a forest of cardboard and wrapping, a mess of discarded wedding gifts because I don't actually know what to do with a Le Creuset. And maybe I haven't even made it to the kitchen or the pie crust. Maybe I've smashed all the berries between my fingers, one by one. And you'll find me in the wilderness of our living room, crawling on my hands and knees, juicy blue war paint across my cheeks. And you'll clean me up like you do, draw a bath, check for sharp objects, broken glass, and you'll leave the door cracked as you play guitar in the next room. But what if it isn't enough this time, when I climb from the deep well of that tub, crawl into bed, still warm and slippery, and you touch me, and I know you want me to be better. Will you drive me to the edge of the city at sundown? Will you touch my neck the whole way? Will you tell me it's better this way as you leave me at the line of trees, shadow branches reaching out to me like hands? This one's called The Lost Boys. Drink this and be one of us. My brother passed his bottle of wine to me, tried to offer life eternal. He was always trying to fix things. But this highway is haunted. The coast and its ghost try to remind me that I am broken. My brother has become something immortal, something like memory, and he didn't even have to die first. His thirst for a better lot in life turned him into darkness. And my mother tried to grieve, but it is hard to mourn the living properly. So I tell her he is dead because gone is better than missing. Gone is a ghost you can blow out the candles for. This trip to the beach, it is my duty to take him apart, to burn the letters, rip down the flyers, drive the stake through his heart, because you cannot hang posters for lost children, pretending they will one day come home, because at some point you have to realize the pictures were for you. So for her, I have become a vampire hunter, armed with garlic and holy water, but the truth is, maybe I can't do it. The truth is, maybe behind fangs, I still see the lost boy who used to be my brother. So when he offered the wine that was his blood, I took a swallow, tried to follow him into shadow. But I remember my promise not to become a daughter missing, had to quit the ritual halfway and watch my brother say hello to the night and fight alone. Now, in Santa Cruz, I cry into my beloved's hands and abandon immortality. And he knows how hard this is for me, knows my capacity for vanishing. So I anchor myself to him and watch the waves return to shore. I whisper a spell of protection for my brother, for all of the lost boys who came before. Red paint. All it ever was, a blanket sagging off my shoulders in the smoke-thick night. Her hands as they scooped it up against the pounding of drums, how they thundered my limbs in storm song. The 4 stars I counted outside the only window like ghosts, the smoke as it escaped, leaving behind its orange glow. And the dancers, cedar woven, my eyes falling heavy past 3 in the morning, and this is when she tells me the red paint is for healing. I just have 2 more. The Rose Garden at Balboa Park. I watched the sun come down a flight of stairs towards me, rubbing his hands together, shaking his hair to one side. In the shadow of a tower, I am watching the light move across painted tile, guilty admiring the Spanish architecture. An old mission building, sprawling, pointed rooftops ornate and arched across land where a tribe used to be. Are the things that conquer us always so striking? And by now, the sun has reached me. Golden strands of light fall across my cheeks as he kisses me into blush and blister, splits my lip open with his finger and spits into my mouth, because he knows I am thirsty, because he wants to leave part of himself inside of me, and I am begging him to colonize me, an inside joke, but I always feel bad after laughing. The sun is playing with my hair and talking about playing a show later. I am looking at the roses, a moon-shaped garden at dusk, and I pluck one that most resembles him, ember-colored and bright, so I might keep the light a moment longer. And this last one is not in the Rose Quartz collection. I just thought I would share it tonight because as many of us are struggling with the state of the world in so many ways, you know, pandemic and the social movement, things are hard. And I wrote this at the beginning of the lockdown when I was stuck in my house in Tacoma for weeks and weeks. And this will be my last one. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight together. Quarantine ceremony. I have brushed my hair. I have brushed my animal's hair. I have swept all the hair from the floorboards and pulled it up from the drains. I have rearranged my bookshelf. I have told myself I will get better at taking care of things, like houseplants. I have fucked the person I love. The person I love has fucked me. There is a difference, and now is not the time to make love. That comes later. Now we are bored and we are angry. Worst of all, we are powerless. We are sheltering in place. We are stuck inside and we are exchanging the small amount of power we do have by candlelight. We are fighting about what to do next. I have begged the person I love to stay. I have ordered him to go home. I have said things like, before it gets too bad, and you need to do what's best for you. I have cried in the middle of the kitchen while holding a pink flower in one hand and a drugstore thermometer in the other. I have said, don't worry, and I love you. I have promised to get in my car and drive all the way to California if I have to. Sometimes it's okay to lie. I have painted the trim along my window a pale bloom. I have watched the neighborhood from the roof sit still. I have watched the construction of the new casino obstruct my view. I have seen it come to a halt right there in the middle of the skyline. I have watched the whole world pause, but for some reason it feels more frozen on the reservation. I have told the person I love about our tribe's salmon ceremony, how we celebrated its arrival, but I've forgotten the details. I have called my mother. I have asked for her fry bread recipe. At least we have food, but this food feels defeated. Still, I have made it for him twice, and each time it didn't come out quite right, but I'll keep trying because there is no salmon, because I want to make something good before he leaves, before I might not ever see him again. Thank you.
Holy shit, thank you. That was phenomenal. I am not a poet, so I don't know exactly what you just did, but I felt it. Thank you so much, Sasha, and congratulations on the book. What is the name of the book again?
Rose Quartz.
Rose Quartz. Cool. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions. Readers, hope you're with us. You can, I guess, you know, yeah, video mute yourself. And viewers, if you have questions, please submit them to Chandra in the chat box. And in the meantime, I would like to do a quick question, sort of just to call in all the readers. Trying to think of good ways to do this. I just decided to have you guys explain a book, or just give a book recommendation. You don't have to explain the selection. Just viewers who were maybe specifically inspired or moved by your reading. What is a book that they just need to read? I'm finding it's a good time for reading right now, so I thought I'd just have you guys just throw a title out there. Let's go in reverse order and start with Sasha.
Oh, okay. Actually, I just read this really, really beautiful novel this winter when I was actually visiting my partner's family who lives in Hawaii. I was sent this book, and the author is Kauai Strong Washburn, and he is Native Hawaiian. And the book is called Ships in the Time of Saviors. And it's just an incredible, incredible novel, written from like the indigenous perspective, like, but this beautiful book that just, I'm also just fascinated by fiction. All of you fiction writers are like magicians to me. I think it's so incredible and I wish that I could do it. And so if you're looking for a really, really cool Native Hawaiian novel to read, Sharks in the Time of Saviors, like got me through a dark time this winter. It's truly beautiful.
I actually have read the beginning of that book, and there's some amazing imagery right in like the first chapter of like it's like surf breaking on the beach and uses all these crazy verbs like sizzles as it hits the rocks.
Yeah. And that's funny. Sizzles definitely stood out to me, and also just so cool, like incorporating his like Native Hawaiian like mythologies in this very contemporary way, like that opening scene with like the night marchers and stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I could just go on, so I'm gonna stop.
Me too. Who else has a book recommendation for our lovely viewers? Doug, you look like you got one. Potted Meat. Okay.
Yeah, Potted Meat by Stephen Dunn. I love this book because it really it straddles that line between poetry, fiction, and nonfiction all at once really well.
Okay.
So I highly recommend it. It's a quick read, but it's really interesting what he does with words, and he really does some cool things at the ends of his pieces, you know. There's a Japanese term for it. I can't think of what it is, but it's like this turn in that last line that he really does really well. So I would recommend reading it to anyone.
Book of poetry, or you said it's kind of a hybrid?
It's labeled a novel, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a novel, but like I said, it's very poetic.
Nice. Thanks. Anyone else have any book recommends? I'm like, just say a name, and then we're talking about all the books. Of course, naturally.
We have a question in the chat box. Sorry to interrupt. I know we're still asking for book recommendations, but we have a question from Jeremy. Where do we find Doug Boots' poems?
Find me a publisher. No, thank you, Jeremy, for asking that. Yeah, I'm just finishing this manuscript, so hopefully it'll be out there soon.
Soon then.
And I just to say, I'll be happy to send, you know, a copy of that manuscript out to anyone that wants to read it.
Nice. Lisa, oh wait, hold on a second. Okay, still don't have any questions in the box here. I'm gonna go to a couple of questions that I wrote up during the reading. And I had one for Sasha as somebody who identifies as mixed. I also am sort of identify as mixed, and I think a lot about audience, but I just wanted to get a sense of how you conceive of audience. And I noticed there's a lot of like identity conversation freighted in your poetry. And I think you actually mentioned it explicitly, but I thought a lot about like the white gaze. I think you said something about like white men, and I'm just curious about how you think of audience in your process and in your poetry.
I think thinking about audience, like sometimes freaks me out because I'll get very like, if you get too hung up on it, it can be like a detriment, you know? But I know I absolutely like hope and want to write more towards like folks that that do come from like Indigenous identity, but also that we're not just like pigeonholed into this one thing. Like certain, I mean, even like non-native like readers that have given me feedback have been like, yeah, but can you talk more about your grandmother and like more about like your, you know, you grew up, you know, very, very close to your Coast Salish culture, like just talk about that. And I usually try to fight against that, that expectation that it's like, no, I also want to write about what it was like being a teenager in Seattle and like going to punk shows. That's just as much a part of my identity as growing up with a woman who single-handedly, like, you know, like revitalized the Lushootseed language. Like that is a huge part of me, but it doesn't dismiss the other parts. And so I think when you are able to encompass all of that, that's like the truest like representation of yourself. And so I don't like when people ask me to only focus on the Coast Salish part, you know?
Totally, I do know. Actually, a big part of my experience at IA was just like learning how to channel that anger, because I just had so much resistance to people saying like, oh yeah, like Ian Geronimo, like just tell us the story. And it was like, you know, no. Like,
you have other stories to tell.
yeah, there's like a person that's separate from whatever it is that's making you just randomly. Totally, thank you for that. And Jennifer Forrester has a question for all, or you have some questions for us, Chandra?
Well, I think that idea of how each of us kind of represent our identities and our heritage, as many of us are from, you know, mixed heritages, it's just endless and really rich, and I think everybody has really different experiences with it. So I wonder what others might say, any of our other readers tonight who might have some insight into that topic of mixed heritage and expectations to speak about it.
Lisa, I saw Irish in your
Oh, yes, I'm Irish. My mom was 1/64th Cherokee and the rest pretty much Irish. So makes me a little over half Native. And yeah, I did learn at IAIA though, through some of the talks that we had, that, you know, I adopted and raised 4 kids from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. When I got custody, then they were 3, 5, 6, and 7. And so when I write about myself, I just thought this name was really cool, Bad Moccasin. And so I have a friend named Joe Bad Moccasin, and they call him Joe Bad. So my character, her name's Boleyn Bad Moccasin, because my mom was always obsessed with the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth I. And so her mother was Anne Boleyn. And so that's where I got that name. But when in some of the stories that in some of the workshops that we had, they kind of said, if, you know, don't be writing about other tribes, you know. So I thought, okay, so Bad Moccasin is a Lakota, or I don't know if it's Dakota or Lakota, but it's a Lakota name. And so I thought, well, maybe I could fictionalize my tribe and take the Bad Moccasin like a bad snake or something, you know. So I don't have to use somebody else's tribe. You know, I have to stick with the Creek, Seminoles, and Cherokees,
yeah,
and the Irish.
that's totally, yeah, that's a very different sort of take on it. I mean, there's an intersection of so many things going on when you're considering writing with your tribal like names. I'm being reminded here that we should really speak to some of the current students. It's such a crazy time to even think about. I mean, we got into it a little bit, but a lot of students are working remotely now. Do you guys, you're all like me working on our processes in this crazy time. Do you have any advice for current students who are doing their MFA? Anyone can jump in.
I'd say probably try to talk to each other more. I think I went like my first whole year or like 2 residencies there. My first 2 residencies there, I rarely talked to anybody. And as Ian said, that's when probably we would have met too if we were kind of so shy. So yeah, I'd say try to get out your comfort zone, talk to people, and it's a lot of good writers in IAIA, so it's a good group to get to know.
And enjoy your time while you're there because it goes super fast.
So fast.
Yeah, I think just to echo what has already been said, I think the best advice is to like stay connected to the folks that you meet with and like share with, because I mean, some of my time at IA was like the most like profoundly formative time for me as a writer. So yeah, just like stay connected and like keep talking to each other and stuff.
I have a question that came in from the actual Ellie. I know that my little square says Ellie, but that's not me. But Ellie is still here in the ether somewhere. And it's kind of a craft question for Carey specifically. Let's see. Can you speak about the lines? And I actually am very curious about this too. The lines in your work, Carey. Stitches, railroads, kind of the length of your line and how you decide to fracture the lines in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the line, I'm really interested in a line first as a tool of colonization, and thinking, hearing you, Sasha, speak about in colonization, how the earth was changed and this completely different system and format was imposed. I think there's something for me that's transformative within the line that I want to speak to. It's a place of alchemy. It's a place of so I asked, how do I explode a line? How do I put pressure on it? But also I'm constantly wondering how to maybe unweave, some of these oppressive systems. I think both socially and culturally that's of interest and a necessity. And I was watching this amazing sculptor and artist whose name is Torquazi Dyson. And she's really working with spatial freedom in regards to, she speaks about self-emancipation and Black compositional thought. But her work is so powerful in, I think, just the ways we unravel ourselves, the ways we reimagine and reconfigure our world going into the future. So it was a bit abstract, but yeah, thank you.
I didn't find it too abstract. I actually think that that's like the conversation right now. Like, and being writers in general, like how can writing be a part of that decolonization? Because otherwise it's like, how do you justify it? There's just so much that needs to happen, so much work that needs to be done. But does anyone else want to comment on that theme? Because I just think that's like where it's at. Not really a theme exactly, I guess, but.
I am trying not to talk too much, but I do want to comment on that. That was really well put, Carey. Exploding the line. I think that's a lot of the work that a lot of us did and are still doing at IA and in our work. In my thesis, I wrote about time perception, and people are like, time perception? Like, why would you write about that? Like, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? But it's all of these, you know, being from the Arctic, like 8 o'clock is actually like 3 o'clock, you know? The light's just different up here. And so even things that seem like they are as given as time can also be exploded to like make people understand how the structures of our colonized societies and worldviews like just put us in this like zombie default mode that like does not need to be that way. So I so appreciate what you said about exploding lines as a way to explode those perceptions. Thanks.
Yes.
Legit. Cool story, bro.
Seriously, cool story, bro.
Yeah. I have kind of another crafty kind of craft. Well, I guess it's maybe a little craft, but also a little bit of a little bit of like, I don't know, industry, I guess, question for Sasha. So you mentioned that rose quartz, you know, you showed us this like really beautiful looking collage zine that you made, and that it's now going to be published by, I think you said Milkweed Press.
Mhm.
So I wonder if you can talk to us a little bit about that process of turning something like a zine and into like morphing it and evolving it into this like really polished published piece.
Yeah. God, I think just time, like so much time. Like, I mean, I graduated IAIA's MFA program back in 2017 and had so much work compiled. Like, you know, I wrote a memoir and wrote like this, like was like some of the poems that show up in that zine were already little like kernels of creation. Even at my last year, I switched from memoir to poetry and switched my focus to that. And just time, like I sent those poems out constantly. And I think as many of us as writers know, just like it feels like kind of bashing yourself against closed gates more often than not. And that can be really discouraging and really hard. And it was super hard for me. And then kind of just taking a more DIY approach where I was like, you know what, these poems and these weird little things that I'm making deserve to be in the world in some way. And that's when I was able to apply for an artist grant here based in Seattle, and took the time and like made this little like took a month and made this zine. And then just like, yeah, like I said, like kind of a DIY, coming at it from DIY culture, where I just literally sat there for hours and hours, like stapling this weird little like Frankenstein collage zine, and then brought it out in the world with me and like traded it and gave it to people. And that was like such a big, as an artist, like that was, that felt like a huge like hurdle for me to actually like put it into a physical form by myself and have it. And that was really beautiful. And then while doing that, still kind of trying to like submit and keep getting big no's. And then it was through one of my connections at IAIA that I was given, like, they were like, they really encouraged me. They were like, you should submit this to Milkweed. I feel like it's a good fit. And that, again, I think comes from like instructors and mentors who really understand your work and know you and get you. And like, I would never dreamed of like submitting it to Milkweed, but this particular professor was like, yeah, I feel like this would be a good fit, try it. And I did. And it was like a very long back and forth until finally she wrote and was like, we're gonna take this. And that was of course after I had made this weird little zine and like, you know, totally DIY'd it and made it like punk rock. But yeah, I think that, does that answer the question, or did I just like ramble?
I think it answered it. Yeah. I wonder too about Josh's work. So first of all, I mean, thanks everyone for just like freaking blowing the roof off tonight. This is like such an honor to be a part of. But just Sasha, as you were speaking about like just all of the courage and like resilience and kind of stick with it that it takes. I kind of wonder a little bit about Josh too, because we talked just a little bit as we were scheduling this evening. And P.S. everybody, Josh was like very hesitant. So I was like really patting myself on the back when he finally agreed. But so I just wonder a little bit, Josh, like, you know, you're a 2020 Tin House Scholar. That's so incredible. Your work really brought the house down tonight. So I just wonder, like, as you're, you know, hearing people like Sasha read, who have been out of the program for a little bit longer now, who are kind of out there and like getting published and doing the work, like what kinds of things are you taking away from that and from this summer, from your experiences?
Well, first of all, like Sasha, that was a great reading. That was beautiful, everything. That was amazing, man. Yeah, well, just seeing like IAIA people out there is also like, it's very cool to see. Like, it makes me proud to have come from this place. And like this place, you know, I wasn't really that big of a writer during my undergrad, and like out of the blue, I seen this MFA program and I applied to it, and you know, I got accepted, and you know, it's just been going great from there. So thank God for IAIA existing in the first place to help me write. And then for like the experiences this summer, like being a Tin House Scholar and everything, that was pretty cool. Even though it was on Zoom, but as we can see, Zoom is a good way to learn and stuff too. But yeah, just seeing people like Sasha and people who are getting their work out in the world, it always brings a good feeling, and it makes me feel like I can be there one day, you know. So it is amazing to see.
It is indeed amazing to see. I think we have a little bit of time left. We're kind of ahead of schedule. We're doing good. I see some compliments. Lastly, I think if there's not any questions from the audience, I'm going to move into like our invocation, just sort of honoring, again, everyone who put this reading series together, but also all of the students who would otherwise be together graduating right now, which is a, you know, precious experience, and it cannot be replicated. But this is a really noble sort of substitute, I guess you could say. So I wrote a little something that's not that. We want to once again congratulate the 2020 Institute of American Indian Arts alumni who put this together. Their ceremony is this Saturday, and seeing as this is the finale, I'd like to ask any board members who are present to say a brief remark to close us out. Anything you'd like to say to the readers or just to each other, farewell, thank yous, expressions of love or solidarity are welcome. Yeah, are there any board members here who would like to close us out for the evening? Vivian.
Hi. Yeah, virtual graduation this Saturday. I was just thinking, in one of the earlier events, somebody had said 2 words, how you would describe it. I came up with 3 just very quickly on this one, and it was the Thunderbird series. It's ambitious, fearless, and it's very, very precious. There was so much that we all put in together. I had doubts about it at first, but the first event was really super terrific. And I think in some ways, I think we overreached, but it was a very, very good success. And I'm very pleased to be part of it. And I'm glad that, you know, we contacted a lot of you readers throughout the six programs that we put together. And I'm glad you all said yes. And even to you, Ian, to be a guest host. That's terrific. Thank you for everybody. And I saw a few mentors and people that I've worked with up there. Thank you all for getting me through to the MFA. I thank a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Love that honesty. Well, I guess you said it, Vivian. Better than anyone else could.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for inviting me to be a part of it. I am late to the bus often, and I'm just glad to have joined you guys for this. I know it's a difficult time, and I agree with the sentiment that just seeing you guys, seeing your faces and hearing some of your guys' work has been super inspirational. I think my friend Remy Gonzalez is on here. I want to shout out to her. Thank you for joining us. She's taught me so much in our conversations. And thank all of you guys, all you viewers who tuned in. I mean, you did not have to be here this evening, but I really appreciate it. And I hope you got something out of it. Much love to you all.
Thank you, Ian. But wait, I know that Jay showed up, and I think everybody really probably enjoyed Jay's music performance tonight. So I just wanted to make sure if Jay wanted a space to say hi to folks.
Oh yeah, Jay, where are you at?
Yeah.
I'm here. Hello. Working on getting. I think I'm notorious for not having my video going as far as Zoom goes. I think, if I may, I might be getting into my like uncle role here, talking too much. But I think at many points during my time in the MFA, I just thought about why me. I thought that a lot, and I think it comes from a place of being one of the only people from my community as a Peaposh person who's involved with art, who's like pursuing this avenue, I guess, for my life. And I look around and don't see contemporaries who are from my same tribe. I think about my home community and the difficulties of, I don't know, I guess life there, the experience there. And I think a lot during my time in the MFA, I thought, why me? But I think our process of going through the end of this program, that mentality has switched a lot from the why me to merely just recognizing that I'm so blessed to put on for my people and to represent them and to be in such amazing company with the 2020 class of IA. So incredibly moved by all of your strength and by your talent, and being one of the younger people to be in the MFA during my class. I just watched the way older writers, like, I don't mean that in any kind of like negative sense, just my elders, I watched my elders walk through the world with such grace and coming from such strong people groups. And I don't know, I could go on and sing their praises forever, but I'm just ever thankful. And, you are the people that I'll be telling the future generations about. And so I'm really honored to have walked in your presence and to have created alongside you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Jay, I'm so happy that you made it. Sorry, I don't mean to keep popping in, but I want to make sure that we get a screenshot with everybody with your video on. So if you don't have your video on and you are comfortable doing so, we would love to see everyone's lovely faces, even if you're tear-streaked faces. Hello, Max Early. Debbie, we can see you now. That was a good touch though earlier. Carmen. Oh my goodness. Hey, Eddie Clifford. Nice to meet you.
Can you see me or do I need to be farther?
What's that?
Can you see me or do I need to be farther? I'm in the dark right now.
It's a little dark, Lauren, but I think we can see you okay. Oh,
Okay.
Everyone's faces. James Thomas Stevens, what's up? Yeah, again, sorry for interrupting the beautiful words. Oh, we gotta get Jay back in here. Sorry, folks. Guess who's being the auntie now, like rounding everybody up for a photo. You are welcome. All right, I think we're almost there. Smile. While I'm doing that, please, anyone else hop in. If you have if you're an alumni and have words you want to say hi to somebody, please hop in.
James! Sorry, I just got really excited.
Hi.
It's good to see you, James.
It's just great to see everybody's faces, and it's the enthusiasm from the series throughout the summer with everything going on. It's helped me through, and look forward to seeing all you guys again in the near future, hopefully. Take care.
Nice. Thank you, Max. All right. Well, I'm going to go see if I can watch a little bit of basketball, but I love you guys. And yeah, take care. Survive to fight another day.